5T was a Vietnamese crime gang active in the Cabramatta and Bankstown area of Sydney, Australia, with subgroups and ex-members living interstate in the final 2 decades of the 20th century. The rise of 5T. The 5T gang was started by Cabramatta youths who came to Australia with their parents after the fall of the Republic of Vietnam. The formation of the 5Ts began in the mid-1980s. The term 5T stands for 5 Vietnamese words starting with T, Tin, Tian, Tu, Tui and Tieni, translating to love, money, prison, punishment, suicide. However, 5T also means Tuoi Trthiu Tin Th degrees Ng, which roughly translates to childhood without love. Gang members apparently were tattooed with the emblem consisting of a straight horizontal line and 5 joined vertical lines with members' first and family names starting with the letter T being the horizontal line on top of the name. Tri Minh Tran rose to leadership of the 5T gang by the age of 14 in 1989. Born in Vietnam in 1975, Tran arrived in Australia at the age of 7 as a refugee. By the age of 11, he had spent 6 months in a children's institution for carrying a sawn-off shotgun, and in the next couple of years was suspected of the murder of 2 rival gang members. The 5T gang dominated over the Cabramatta heroin trade, predominantly at a street level. In January 1988, the Sydney Morning Herald warned criminal gangs in the Vietnamese community are increasingly heavily armed, are moving into drugs and gambling, establishing links with Australian crime figures, and becoming involved in standover rackets in their own community. John Newman first warned of the Vietnamese gangs including the 5T in 1989 in NSW State Parliament, saying, "The Asian gangs involved don't fear our laws. But there's one thing they do fear, and that's possible deportation back to the jungles of Vietnam, because that's where, frankly, they belong." Newman campaigned strongly against the crime gangs in Vietnam and would receive regular death threats before his murder. Breakup. The murder of Tran in 1995 sparked a power struggle within the organization. This was ultimately furthered with the death of the 5T successor. This led to an escalation of violence in 1999, as rival mobs, the Four Aces and Madonna's Boys, which were breakaway groups of the 5T, challenged the 5T, leading to an increase in the murder rate in Cabramatta. This gang warfare eventually led to the NSW Parliament establishing a parliamentary inquiry. During this inquiry in 2001, Tim Priest, a police officer based at Cabramatta, warned of an upsurge of gang violence in southwestern Sydney, including Vietnamese, Chinese, and Middle Eastern gangs. He was criticized for his comments by then NSW Education Minister John Aquilina and Reba Meager, Newman's successor as member for Cabramatta, who labeled him a disgruntled detective before being forced to apologize. The successors of the 5T included the Four Aces, Red Dragon and Madonna's Boys, Madonna, Ro Van La. The leader and namesake of the gang, however, was subsequently murdered outside a Western Sydney pub in 1999 shortly after being released from prison, subsequently leading to the eventual demise of the 5T gang. References